We are back out here again on Medved-Taiga today to continue with our moose grind, and unfortunately, we start with a bit of a tragic tale in which this moose can only serve as a recreation. I had a very similar situation to this in which I spotted level 4 moose through the brush, thought nothing of it, and went for the shot. Upon walking up on the moose, I realized that what I had shot was probably the biggest piebald I have ever taken in Hunter Call of the Wild. A really nice sized moose, and I had no idea that it was a piebald. Fortunately, I was at least able to record the claiming of it, so we have that. We get to see the harvest screen and the inspect screen, but I was not able to record the shot, not knowing that it was a rare. And with a score of 236, it's one of the better rares we've gotten from any of our Great One grinds, and it's just really unfortunate that I wasn't able to record it. I would like to think on any other map I would have noticed it, but through brush like this, it kind of blends in perfectly, and you don't notice that extra white fur because it blends in with the background, so I sure hope that doesn't happen again. But it was a bit of a bummer. We had the really tiny piebald, the level 2, in our first 22 kills, I believe it was, on this grind. That's our second rare, and it's a really nice gold, and I just wish we could have had the shot. It was a hard shot and everything, it worked out perfectly. I just had no idea that it was actually a rare, but the good news is, as we get started with this grind today, we did get both of the bulls that were at this lake, so a fairly decent start. And I think maybe a chance at having 2 golds. It's a level 3, and he is 190, so just shy of that gold mark. But we're kind of starting our run in a weird spot. I should note as well, down here where the waypoint is, that's where we shot the piebald moose. That's the first bull moose we shot out of there at all. I've not had a single bull prior to that, so finding some new areas that moose are starting to move into, and I think that's good to continually explore throughout the grind. We are just over 300 kills into this now, so finally starting to get going with rifle season being over here in PA, and hopefully that helps us in improving our numbers. Now, I mentioned being at 300 kills, and we've been fairly consistent thus far in being able to get 20 to 25 kills per run, and the way that we've been doing it is kind of with 3 mini runs. We have this side on the east, all of these lakes in this area. We've got the river itself, which takes almost an hour to run. And then we've got the little loop of lakes down here. Typically, I can get 2 of those mini runs done in an hour, which is the length of moose drink time. And by switching it up constantly, it seems to have a pretty consistent number of moose in the zone. So that's been a good approach for us so far. And hopefully that's going to continue. I think one of the most important things with these grinds, as far as efficiency goes, is being able to see those numbers run after run. What typically seems to happen with grinds, at least it's what I see happen, is as you kind of get further and further in, you start to see your numbers dwindle. And I believe one of the reasons is, if you're only grinding, say, the same 10-15 zones, some of your respawns go elsewhere, and if you're not hunting those other spots, you just start to see less moose in the areas you're hunting time after time, or less of whatever animal that you're grinding in those spots. So I like this approach. Hopefully it can continue to work. But that is actually 3 up here off this big lake just to start, and 2 should be gold. And by the way, another thing that works out really well, I think it's because maybe moose don't run that fast. Really often with this, if we do shoot 2 side by side, they end up going down roughly in the same area. And the part you would expect, I think, is for them to run the same direction. Most animals kind of have a certain path they'll take, but it's the distance they run. Rarely do I find, if we make 2 good shots, that it's more than maybe 10 meters between the moose. So that definitely helps in efficiency as well. But we had a 205 gold there. The one lane up here should be in the area of 2 teens or maybe 2 20s. And I'd expect there to be more around the edge. In fact, there's a level 3 and a level 2 out there. Not the easiest spot to shoot. We may go from here, because you can see these reeds are just starting to render in. We get much closer, we may struggle to spot him. So gonna try to slot that shot in there. Get eyes on the 3 who was kind of walking forward. We hit him. Probably aimed just a touch too far forward. That should be enough to take him down. And then our 2 is dropping, so not ideal, but I think 2 more. As for the bigger one, 217 scores, so not too bad. And then I think hunting pressure looks like we did get both of those, so kind of lucked out being able to get a second shot. There's another 3 out there, and another 2. That has been a very consistent theme. Lots of not very big moose, but we can kind of go with the same strategy that we've been going with. If we have one that's broadside and one that's not, or what looks like we may get is one kind of frontal and one that's not, is just taking the shot on the one that is offering a good angle, and then the other one will typically turn and give you a shot. It does require being fairly quick and kind of making an assessment of the angle quite quickly, but we will do our best. That's him turning and giving us a broadside shot, and that's going to be another 2. We're starting to get a little heavy on the hunting pressure here. I think we're going to be okay. It's spread out enough, but gotta be careful doing that. And so getting ourselves kind of caught back up, that was the level 2 that we shot in the rocks. The level 3, which we hit poorly the first time, there's vital blood back there, and I don't understand how. It was from the second shot. So unless he turned or something, or maybe a really weird angle for liver, I'll be really intrigued to see what happened. The distance he ran would kind of agree. Right lung? I mean, that was absurd luck. I had no intention of hitting anything good. 2 flesh hits with a 300 kilo moose. All I was trying to do was hit him. That probably saved us several minutes there. But I want to say now 7 bulls going around this lake. And we had killed 2 at the other spot, and as typically these grind videos tend to go, a few other lakes, I don't even remember the number, but it was 2 or 3 more bulls that we've gotten. So we're well over double digits already, and just hitting the 20-minute mark of this hunt. So not doing too bad. As for in-game time, should be maybe close to 1500. 1449 at the moment, so we may have time to get down to the river even still. Are you serious? Of all things, he's almost a guaranteed gold. 192 to 246. At least we're recording this time. I was getting ready to talk about this level 4. I didn't know that rat could be a 4. And this guy just comes trotting out. The weird thing is, like, it's almost too late. It's 15:30. It took some time to get to where we want to be. I don't know why they're just getting into their zone. And obviously we don't have that zone. Let's go ahead and try to make that shot. That'll be a hard shot. The 4 took a long time to get our crosshairs onto, but that's a lung. And by the way, some of you guys caught it on stream on Monday. I did switch to the Hyperion. I've just really been struggling with recoil management, and less zoom just makes that a little bit easier, so helped us out there for sure. And look how this guy went down. Not too bad. Probably can get a quick screenshot, but in order to make a little progress getting up the river, we'll have to be semi-quick. But could this guy make gold now? It's a rack that we know can. Actually, not a bad way for Sir 12 to jump into the photo there, so let's see. I think it's 194 and change. He's a 193.03, so he's just shy. Not a big deal, though. We already had a Piebald gold. It's the rack that usually scores like 2 teens or 220-ish. We'll definitely tax him regardless and get a quick screenshot in there. Would have been nice if he would have made it, especially considering the gold Piebald we did shoot was not recorded, but that one was our biggest rare, and likely for now, we'll put everything in the grind lodge. And what I did with the red deer was, after the fact, we got our biggest diamonds out of there and the best rares and moved them to the main lodge. So we'll probably do the same with the moose and end up replacing the one that scores, I think, 224 or something. But that's 2. Piebald bull moose, kind of in the southeast. I guess this is more south center, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. We had 1 in 20 kills. Still don't have a diamond, by the way, but now 3 piebalds. Looks to me like we have another couple of kind of similar sized moose. That's a level 4. I can't quite tell what the one behind him is, but again, it's going to be a similar strategy. The other nice thing is, because animals spook faster now, and because moose have a new hit animation, they actually get out of the way a little bit faster. So when they're kind of stacked in like this, you can shoot the first one and feel pretty confident that you're going to have time to get a shot at the second one, since the first one is gone so quickly. So that one's out of the way. We can take our time and slot that shot in. Now, I don't know, the distance was weird. We did get a lung, so that's going to work. First one's down, and the longer the second one stands around, the less tracking we'll have to do. but these will most likely end up being our last two for this run. We're getting pretty late into moose drink time, if it even is still at all. Technically, there's 5 in-game minutes left of the later zones that run till 16:30, and I suppose there would be a chance. Maybe we could spot one more, but if we can get on the tracks, and this is where having the Bloodhound with me has really helped. I just find it with moose in particular. They just run in odd directions, and I don't know if it's the number of moose or the number of species that are on this map now with capercaillie and wolves being added, but sometimes the tracks aren't too easy to find. Fortunately, it is pretty easy to find the moose when the dog helps. Another 190 plus 191 for that guy. A lot of those level 3s are right up there around that gold mark. And as I mentioned, we had seen it go over a couple of times. So our tent where we often start runs is literally right there. I'm pretty happy with what we managed. We got all the way up the river basically as far as I wanted to go. There is actually a zone just on the other side of these reeds, but I'm guessing any moose that use it are probably out of there. So we'll go ahead and rest, and I think we'll do probably this little loop down here just to kind of complete everything. And par for the course here too, a couple of level 3s. It is pretty amazing that we're in the area of 320 kills. I don't know if we actually got 20 on that run, but I'm pretty sure we must have. Just the number of shots that we took. I'll check the stats here in a moment, but it's crazy we haven't had a diamond yet. There have been 2 trolls, one of which was an initial spawn and one would have been a respawn. And if you really want to count early access of New England, which we were doing a fair bit of moose hunting and we're looking for a great one moose in a way, not really grinding for one, but we had 2 more troll moose. So our last level 5 moose, all 4 of them, have been trolls. Regardless though, these 2 will get us started. Both are going to be silvers, no doubt, but we'll start to work our way up through here, kind of the same as normal now. If we see a decent sized one, level 4 or up, we'll include it, otherwise things will start to get cut out. And I will also check the stats here, and I suppose even though they're not that special again, because there are 3, we'll go ahead and try to get these guys. Now, I'm not sure about him being alert. The others aren't. It makes me think there's a lynx or some wolves down there, but we'll kind of sneak in and take our time trying to get the shots. It turned out we had 17 on that first run. Now, I did spend quite a bit of time at the beginning of the run trying to set up a spot where I could take a shot through the brush at a moose to kind of recreate the shot at that piebald. So that may have been the time lost that would have allowed us to get a couple more moose and get to 20. But even still, something like this, getting potentially 3 that fast, will help us out. And again, we're only 51 minutes in now. So in an hour, we should be over 20 kills. As for trying to get 3 though, we always go 308 for this. And I think we want a 0 for 75 because we're getting kind of close. And what I'd like to ideally do is heart shot this first one, just to save us on tracking. So we'll try to get that. Slot a shot in there. We're almost fast enough. He is hit. And maybe even hit well with that last shot. Getting the lead right, I find, is a little bit different with the Hyperion scope, and having just switched to it, it's taken some time to get used to. I mean, we're gonna get him. Especially if he just continues to get stuck. We'll take the little extra bonus that gave us. And it should at least bring us to 22 moose now. We had killed 17 on the first run, 2 starting the second run, and I believe all 3 from this lake should have gone down. And just for what it's worth, as we claim our second one here, by the way, I would bet that was why that one was alert. But we actually had an intestine shot, first off, on the third one, so even without him getting stuck, it would have been a kill shot. It would have taken forever for him to go down, and probably will save us some time in the process, but I guess, you know, kind of a good thing to know that we had a lethal shot, maybe not the best shot. Still not exactly a quick track, especially considering how many times we shot him, but it's probably the best spot to have it. It's the only lake on this stretch where we have a tent, so at least we don't have to run all the way back. So we had intestines, which we maybe were just too far back regardless. Too far forward 3 times in a row, in fact. And then, I guess the angle there where he was stuck, we just weren't quite getting through with the 308. Little unfortunate, but we got him down. That would have been a gold, by the way, with that rack that the Piebald level 3 had. Well, that's not the best. It appears though we potentially spooked our last bull moose, and I don't know. One of those shots ought to be halfway decent. He looks to be going down decently quick, so I think we're going to end up getting him. But this little run has been a bit of a example as to why I think it's good to have a bunch of areas to hunt. When we started this grind, every lake along here had moose. In this case, it was right about half, and we still ended up with, between all the lakes, I think 6 or 7 bulls, which isn't that bad, but I wouldn't be at all shocked if at some stage down the line, we end up with all the lakes having bulls at some time again, and I just think it's good to rotate through and have more than a couple zones to rely on to help us get those numbers every single time. In the end here, about an hour and 15 minutes, we're going to be close to 30 moose, and we probably could have done a little bit better. There were some that spooked, some that we ended up not making a great shot on, and I'd like to think if we had a ideal run, we could get closer to 35 or 40, and that's not even really to say an ideal run is ever going to happen, but it's the standard to shoot for, I guess, when we come out here and having that idea that it is possible. 186 for that guy, did get a right lung shot, and the good news is this time we do get to head back to the trophy lodge with not 1, but 2 piebald bulls. I'm still so disappointed I didn't realize this was a piebald through the brush, because it is one of the better kills we've had, as I mentioned, from any of our grinds. A 236 scoring piebald, shot on 12-12 by the way. I had mentioned on the stream on Monday that we would call it Chris Moose on 12-12. If we got a great one, maybe we can still go with it, since we got ourselves a nice piebald. But on the wall over here then is our newest piebald, 193. We had the little one from the first day, and now our level 1 is up there beside it. And I'm hoping by the end of this, we can have a wall with an albino, a piebald, and a melanistic. Ideally all golds. That would be the hope for as we go along, looking for some of those things that can pop up as we grind for a great one. But pretty cool to get a gold rare this early, and it took far longer than that with the red deer as I recall. And hopefully that's a good sign as we continue forward. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.